Hello and welcome to the Hacker Mindset, the secret recipe to managing a winning team. So, how this all came about is that at hackathons, it might be really easy for people to drop out. To form a team, it's really important to understand what the common purpose is and to ensure that everyone has a really good experience at the start of the ideation period and forming teams, you might need a framework. So I've got a one page where you can fill in the details to ensure that your team is mobilized and can work cohesively together. So the Hacker Mindset, this session is to explain to you what the template looks like and how to fill out all the blanks. So let's keep calm and hack on. This is our opportunity to shine, to make a difference on this world, and to have a positive impact on customers, and to help each other ensure that we've got better lives. To ensure that sustainability is important and high on our agenda. So I know at times, especially during hackathons, that's really easy to kind of stress out and go, oh goodness, what's going on? It's a very high pressurized can be stressful experience, but it is also a fun learning experience as well. So keep calm, let's hack on. I'm going to show you the template. Let's get started. Before we begin, a couple of ground rules here. In a hackathon environment, the hacker mindset is really an entrepreneurial mindset that we love to solve problems. We like to get things done. I know even for me, working in a corporate organization, we're really used to the day to day, mundane. There's a lot of processes, a lot of systems, a lot of people before we can actually get things done and make the right decision. So here I put in four ground rules, um, the four C's, you could say, to ensure that everyone has a great experience and that we can all start off on the same page. So connect, collaborate, create, and commit. Connect. So this is all around introducing yourself to the group. So normally at a hackathon, a lot of people kind of go, oh my goodness, like I'm the only one. I don't know anyone. Should I come to a hackathon or not? And honestly, the first hackathon I went to, I didn't even know what a hackathon was. You kind of need to dive into the deep end, and that's really the fun of it, to connect with people that you don't normally talk to or converse with. They may come from different industries, or they may be a different age group to you, but talking with these people can really open your mind and also challenge your way of thinking. So I know, like for me, my brother works in construction, and it was the first time where we both worked from home. So we talked about how for him in the morning he has pre-start meetings, whereas for me I think of the agile stand-up meetings. So we've got different ways of working, but also some similarities as well. And creativity, is not just thinking outside the box, if there is a box, but it's also being able to join the dots and also bring your value to the table. The next thing is to collaborate. So in a traditional organization, you may have the president, the senior vice president, the president, vice president, the managing director, and directors and team leaders and individual contributors. In a hackathon environment and in any lean startup environment, there is no hierarchy. Everyone brings something to the table, everyone's different, everyone is unique, and it's really great to come together in a diverse way to see how you fit in the puzzle and work cohesively in collaboration together. So ensure that there's no hierarchy, you have diverse and inclusive teams, and really ask questions and more open ended questions so you can learn from each other. A third one thing is to create. So be open, be collaborative. There are a lot of open source tools. I know for me, when I first got into the hackathon environment, I was really surprised by the way that everyone was so willing to share. And when you create something, there's forums out there. There's a lot of tools to help you. And I think the beauty about hackathons is that it's really creating that tangible minimum awesome product that you'll be pitching to a paying customer or a user. A lot of people, come to me and they say, "Oh, I want to run a hackathon," but then I go, "Oh, is it a strategic session to understand your vision? Is it a forum where you're actively talking about different topics? Is it an ideation session where you're just coming up with ideas? Or is it more like a challenge where you kind of conceptualize these ideas?" So hackathons, in a nutshell, there's does a little bit of all of that, but the crux of it is really to come together to create a tangible solution. And the last one here is to commit. I know with a lot of activities, people may sign up and then they drop off. I know with a lot of events such as like hackathons or even webinars or sessions, the number of people who register compared to the number of people who turn up, completely different. In a hackathon environment, you must show up, you must do your work, and you must deliver, because that's how you're going to create a winning solution with a winning team. So please, please be committed to what you're signing up for. So I wanted to talk about also the bimodal theory. And this theory is really important because it shows you two different modes of thinking. Both of them are equally as important. And in any business or startup, you really need to understand that, yes, you need traditional management to help avoid those mistakes, to serve your customers, to have that great experience that you're going to show, and to execute what you preach. You also need, in parallel, mode two, which is more entrepreneurial management, where it's all around trial and error, failing fast, doing these continuous experiments that you can learn from and create innovations from. So when you're looking at these two models, see where this fits into your schedule, and understand that there's high uncertainty when it comes to entrepreneurial thinking, and low uncertainty when it comes to traditional. And in this environment, there is going to be a lot of uncertainty, so be comfortable with it. Try and embrace it as well, because that's the best way that you can really have a great mindset when you're going into these hackathons. Now, what is innovation? Innovation is change that adds value. It's value that could be not just a cost saving, but it could be brand recognition, could be networks, it could be an emotional sentiment. So value comes in a lot of different forms. And the intersection that I have identified with innovation is the novelty and the need. It's the intersection between these two. A novelty being, for example, it could be a taxi where they've got disco lights and there's a DJ and there's screens everywhere. Um, it, there's a real novelty to that, because you're like, oh my gosh, there's all these sparks and this is amazing. This is not what a normal taxi does. And then you also need to think about the need as well. So this is more understanding that, for example, if I go to a meetup and I have a couple of drinks, I won't be able to drive. So I need to get home so that I can sleep and have a restful night in preparation for the next day. So, where this innovation comes in, and what Uber has done, is provide exceptional service for people who want to get from one place to another. My best Uber drivers, they offer, like, they don't offer the whole shebang and that kind of thing. They give me a mint if needed. They give me a charger, for example, if my battery is low. So they have the services that I actually need and provide them in a timely manner. And that's what we're looking for in terms of innovation. The hacker mindset, we're getting to it, comes in three phases: spot, build, and go. Spot being spotting the opportunity, building a tangible product, and going, being prepared to keep going and to learn that sometimes you need to start, stop, and restart. So how can you grow the customer base? How do you grow markets? And we'll get into this. So just to rehash the purpose of this one page template that I'm going to go through, there are three sections: spot, build, and go. um, and then it's really a good opportunity to, number one, develop a strong team purpose. Having that common purpose is essential. Work cohesively together, work together as one team, understanding your different strengths and values, and how you can merge what you know with others. Learning, failing to learn, but also having fun learning. It's a great way to say, okay, what can I really get out of this? And also create a valuable, tangible product. All right, phase one: story. Deliver a story that is emotive and compelling. I've got a framework here and I'll just talk you through this with an example. So, you know how the elderly are lining up at 6 a.m. to go into supermarkets at 7 a.m.? They need to ensure they have enough food and essentials for their home supplies so that they can feel comfortable at home. Here you can see that I've kind of drawn an emotive aspect to this because the elderly, I think a lot of people have grandparents, for example, and they might know a neighbor or a relative or someone who has this story or has a similar pain point. So I know when, for example, when I am looking for a team at a hackathon, I ask them, what do they want to work on? What are they passionate about? But also why they want to work on it. Is there a personal story? Is there a way that they can relate to this so they can design something that is beneficial? And that really fast tracks a lot of user research and design, which is really essential at the start of the hackathon. The next thing is people, having diverse skills and being inclusive of everyone. I talked about this earlier, but I really wanted to emphasize the need for this, especially in the startup environment, being uh, very lean. So we call this the minimum viable team, where you have the hustler, the hipster, and the hacker. And that's the people, the person, or the hustler is the person who sells the product, the hipster is the person who designs the product, and the person who creates the product is the hustler. And normally you would nominate someone to be the herder. So if you think about like a shepherd herding sheep, they're herding the crowd. So they're helping them be directed in the right direction and ensuring that no one gets left behind. And then we can be very supportive of each other to create that product. So for everyone who goes through this template, write your name. So, for example, my name is Angela. Purpose of participation. For me, I just want to do something that can help my grandparents. I want to upskill. I want to network. I just want to do something, for the greater good. And that also comes to passion. So, what is my interest? My interest is helping generally the elderly. Participation, for example, I work full time, so my participation would be only in the evenings in Australian Eastern Standard Time. So if you're working in cross-functional groups all over the world, understand your time zones and also where everyone can fit. The next thing is personal development, and this is something that almost everyone misses out on. And I find it really useful when I'm managing a team is to understand what people want to develop in and what helps challenge them, because people like to have a challenge and people want to overcome those challenges. And it brings out the competitiveness, it brings out the empathetic kind of person, and it also brings out the personality of how this person wants to work. So, um, for example, for me, in personal development, for example, when I first started doing hackathons, I am a massive introvert and I find it really difficult to communicate with other people. So I would put myself in the hustler position to ensure that I would work on the pitching skills and to do it in a way that is clear and succinct. And so that's what I wanted to work on. And after, 50 hackathons and pitching to all sorts of investors, businesses, people in different room sizes, small or big crowds. I got to do a TEDx talk last year, and that was really enriching, and that was a massive milestone for me. Another thing to consider is IP ownership. So it's if you do want to carry your solution forward, we're not saying every team needs to. Just ensure that you've got either equal share or you've kind of sorted that out. And if every participant signs the hack code of conduct, that's a really great way to eliminate discrimination. So, lots of people um, you know, see hackathons as an upskilling kind of session. Just make sure that everyone else sees it that way in your team and have those discussions up front. And this is really important. The next thing is opportunity, having a strong vision and also being able to pivot, because it's okay to, build, measure, test, and learn and do it in a cycle. I love this framework of describing your innovation in 140 characters or less. Thank you, Twitter. Um, Simply because it just keeps it clear and concise. So I worked in I majored in public relations and also did journalism subjects when I was at university, and they always told us the first two lines of you writing an article, it must include the who, what, where, when, why, and how. Now it's super important you do that so you can grab the attention of the audience. Especially in my first career, I worked in public relations, pitching to journalists all the time, every day. Journalists were bombarded with hundreds of different potential news articles. And so having that catchy title, as well as being specific and simple, is important to grab their attention and pretty much everyone's attention as well. So maybe an opportunity statement you can say is we're going to create an aggregated platform for the elderly, which lists what supermarkets have in stock and in which locations, and also provides a delivery service so that it gets to their doorsteps immediately when they order it. So just make that clear and concise. Put those points, the who, what, where, when, how, and why, and give it to maybe someone in your family, send it to a friend, and get them to give you that feedback. And doing this exercise will really solidify what you want to do. The next thing is to test. And to test, you should validate assumptions. It's really easy to go to a conclusion and to ideate and say, hey, let's build this awesome machine learning software. Great, but what if there isn't actually a problem, or what if there isn't a use for it? So it's really good to just put your opportunity statement out there and really draw out those assumptions. So for example, I've got here the majority of elderly get coronavirus. That's a big assumption that I had. But when I looked into it, it said early findings from China, which pertained to the first 17 people to die in the outbreak, revealed that their median age was 75. And a study in the New England Journal of Medicine found that the median age of the first 425 people infected with the virus was 59. So that kind of validates the assumption. The second one, there is not enough food for Australians. Might be the same all over the world, who knows, but everyone has been overreacting and they're going to supermarkets, buying flour, pasta, toilet paper, the whole shebaz. So I looked it up and I just found this fact for Australia. According to the National Farmers Federation, imported food only accounts for 15% of daily supply. Hmm. About two-thirds of Australia's produce is exported, meaning we make plenty more than we actually consume. And for farmers, it's pretty much business as usual. I put those links on there. It's also to note well to look into credible sources. So research papers, news articles, and that kind of thing, and look at the date to ensure that it's relevant for this day and age. Now, the second phase is build. So this is building the tangible product or the minimum awesome product that you're going to show the paying customer or user. Number one, based on your opportunity statement, what is your goal? Is it to build that aggregation platform for the supermarket, or could it be to build that specialized delivery service? What specifically will you build over the next, the duration of the hackathon, and what would that look like? The second thing is the pitch date and time. A lot of the time, I know I'm prone to this. I kind of like do one thing and then another thing, and then I'm very reactive. But if there's an end goal and an end time, you can work backwards from it so that you can get everyone on board with a united vision of where you need to head. Make that clear and write it down. The third thing is communication platform. How are you going to communicate with your team? Is it through Slack, WhatsApp, Discord, Trello, Notion? How are you going to project manage? And how would you even chit chat with each other? If, for example, I needed something from someone else, do I give them a call? How do people normally communicate? And what do they check? And what do they don't check? And the next thing is criteria. So ensuring that you know the purpose of the hackathon based on what the organizers have said. Different hackathons have different purposes. So, for example, a hackathon that is backed by an accelerated program are probably looking for startups out of hackathons. A hackathon that is run by a university might be more skills based and training based. A hackathon that is run by recruiting companies such as Facebook or Google, they might be looking out and saying, and just seeing, who's out there, who can we recruit as our technical leads. So there's different ways that people will communicate this to you, and it's also good for you to be clear about their intentions, and look at their criteria and see how you can help them out and see what they're looking for. And then the next thing is check-ins. I know for a lot of check-ins, it might be, a DAG or something, but I find them really useful at hackathons. It's good because everyone can see what everyone else is doing and keep everyone else on track. And if there are any problems that arise, you can have a common discussion out of it. So for me, I normally say discuss. So each person shares what they've done over that last sprint or duration, and then they share what they've learned and reflect on the things that they've done. The next thing, while after everyone has done that in a circle, is to go back to your destination and your goal that you want to achieve in the hackathon period. So, do you need to change it? And is the problem that you're solving still the problem you're solving, and stay true to it? Because as I said with the opportunity statement, don't be afraid to pivot your solution. And the third thing is directions. So be reflective of what you need to start, stop, and restart based on that destination discussion, and also ask each other for help if you need it to achieve the next milestone. So what else needs to be done for you? This is my little guide on what, uh, for example, is my timeline during a hackathon scenario. So traditionally, hackathons start from a Friday at night and end on a Sunday in the late afternoon. So we've got here the hustler, hipster, and the hacker, and then the herder. So nominate them, put like a tick next to them to keep everyone on track. And normally I do everything that I do in the spot kind of phase. Then we look into conceptualizing and coming up with that solid idea based on customer research, based on talking with people, validating assumptions, and also find data and APIs. And this is something that I've learned personally is that, there's hackathons might give you open source data, but when you dig into it, it's messy data. So you might as well just create your own data set. So look out for that. With APIs, make sure you're familiar with them, what features they have and what they can do and what they can't do. Look into the technical tools as well. Some hackathons offer you a free trial or credit, so take advantage of them, but also understand what you're getting into. And then once you have all that, agreeing on that final problem statement and that minimum awesome product that you're going to produce. Then it's just heads down, let's get to it. So, you know, each person has their skill sets, whether it be creating a video or working on that interface or the prototype. So make sure that you're working in unison and you're continuously having those check-ins. And then at the end, celebrate because it is a big achievement and something that you should be proud of. It's creating something out of nothing and putting yourself through this environment where you're challenging yourself and sometimes competing against yourself, and not just others as well. So take the time to maybe just raise a glass of wine or something and talk to each other and just say, hey, let's keep these connections going. What I love about hackathons is that we just like to get shit done. It's a great way to meet like-minded people and also create really good friendships as well. So I found that useful for me, and I hope that brings a lot of value for you as well. And that's why I created Hackathons Australia. The third phase is to grow. Um, Once you have that minimum awesome product, you can go out to customers, tell them, the great work that you've done, tell them the values that you have, but maybe more importantly, ask some questions and be empathetic so you understand where they're coming from, where their decision-making process lies and where they're at in that. And then, say, this is what we offer. Let's close the sale. So make sure you've got some creative assets and content that you can show to the customer. Make sure that you reach them on all different levels. When I worked in marketing, we used to say 7 times 7. So 7 different types of content, seven blasted out in 7 different channels. So 7 times 7 was 49. So the customer would see your work at least 49 times before they give that sell. That's a lot, but when you think about advertising and what's being put out in media and on our social media platforms, you can really see that we're surrounded by it continuously. And most importantly, to close that sale. The O part of go is to optimize. So Horizon 1, 2, and 3. Horizon 1 is all around ongoing R&D, so research and development. So looking at your features and products, things like Disney, for example, they do a lot of movies around a lot of Disney characters. So it might be coming up with a new character or developing a script that would help the Disney brand. So these ongoing new products and features is really important to keep the business up and running. The next thing is more Horizon 2. So this is new customers, new markets and targets, and this might be looking into Disney Disneyland, for example. It might be a new way to reach customers. So going, okay, once everyone has that experience at a movie, they can experience it in real life. And when Disneyland actually created itself, it was in massive debt and there was a lot of construction going and a lot of people were not very easy about it, but it really attracted a lot of people. It really gave them a really high experience and engaging experience as well. And that's how they really bring that emotive piece to it. So it's not just for children, but it's also for parents to experience and be a part of the family. Horizon 3, this is new capabilities and new businesses. Disney launched last year in 2019, Disney Plus, and it's brilliant because you can see movies not just at the theater, but also on your own couch or even in your own bed. You can just flick it on and you can see and watch movies anytime, anywhere. And that is a different type of business model, a different way of disruption, but also expands the variety and mix of what Disney offers. So if you do want the template, you can go on the bit.ly link that we have here. So bit.ly/the hacker mindset. So the hacker mindset, um, the T, the H, and the M are all in capitals, and this is capitals or case sensitive. So put that in. Make sure to download the link. The QR code is on the right side of the page, and you can scan that to also go to the landing page and download this template. Um, as well as a template on the, there will be a sample of how you use the template so that you can be on the right track and you don't have to ask questions and watch this video again and again and again. The last thing that I wanted to leave you with is that true innovation is not just about the technology itself. A lot of the time, the technology is there. It might be a bit expensive or it's not accessible, but really, anything is possible if you put your mind and your will to it, and if you put ideas into execution and into action. And if you do that, and when you do that, it creates movements because the energy that you give out will be contagious and it will impact the people around you and also create a positive change in society. So go out there, be innovative, have that kind of bimodal theory on the top of your heads, understand traditional and entrepreneurial way of thinking, be agile, be willing to pivot, learn, so fail to learn, but also have fun learning it and participate in these sessions because they are really valuable. If you want to contact me, my details are on the right side of the screen. So I am the founder and CEO of Hackathons Australia. I have participated, mentored, and supported around 500 hackathons during the past 10 years of my life. I created the hacker mindset to ensure that all teams had strong leadership and that they could work cohesively together, that people wouldn't drop off or have a bad experience. We want everyone to um, give up their time for the right reasons and for the right causes as well. My email is on there. The bit.ly link is also in there with the QR code again. So feel free to reach out to me. I'm also accessible on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, Slack, Discord, whatever platform there is out there. So I hope that was useful to you. And if you have any questions, feel free to comment below. As I said, this is an open community. We like to help each other, and that's the real value of the hacker community. So put your comments below, like this, and share it with your friends, with your communities, and with other hackathon goers. And I look forward to seeing them all and creating more positive change and movements in this world. Thank you.